gang, gang. Hey, nothing but love and respect. You might have some cool fans, but mine are the best. We've been through it all, went to war when duty called. Never left a man behind, we move as one is super strong. I don't want followers, that implies I'm the leader. I'm not the captain, I just gave them something they can believe in. I hold the lamp in the darkness, but they're the light that I needed to see the road that we walk in between the angels and demons. And my fans have my back. Hate us if your feelings don't like facts. And my fans will fight back. Beat you with the keyboard you've been using to write back. I guess we need each other like both sides of the battery. We the army, we the homies, we the gang, we the cavalry. We're brothers and sisters, we hold it down like we gravity. Can't nobody break the bond that made us all family.
Me and my fans, we don't care what anybody say. Middle fingers to whoever in the way, man. Me and my fans, we gon' be together to the grave. It's a game till forever and a day, man. Me and my fans, we don't even trip with the hate. We the I don't give a fuck in our veins, man. Me and my fans,
we the hangover gang. Gang, 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 gang.
Oklahoma weather can dish out some of the worst punishment in the world. Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Tuttle. But now you can fight back by installing Class 4 impact-resistant shingles from Ferguson Roof Systems. These shingles can withstand large hail, heavy rain, and hurricane-force winds, all while keeping your home safe and dry. And the best part? This upgrade is completely free for many homeowners. So call today to start reaping the benefits these Class 4 shingles bring, including a discount on home insurance. Only at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey everyone, Meteorologist Tuttle back with you here at AET's Weather. It is time to talk about the forecast here for this evening. We're going to talk about the storms that are expected to develop, what they look like, see if anything's changed in the forecast, and then we'll turn you loose. So we'll see what happens. So thanks for joining me, watching, sharing, all that kind of stuff. I see the stars being thrown out there. I love those Chinese stars. We used to play those as kids. Surprised we didn't knock an eye out. We were crazy back then. Nunchucks too. I don't know what we were thinking, but I don't know if you can even do that nowadays. But back then it was a little crazier times. Okay, so anyway, welcome again for you newbies from like California or the East Coast, somewhere in between. A lot of transplants here in Oklahoma, so welcome to the state and welcome to our severe weather season. Believe it or not, most of our severe weather happens in the springtime and to about early summer. We take a break, and then we have this little mini severe weather season that sometimes rears its ugly head right around this time of the year. It only lasts for a few weeks, and then that's it. And looks like most of it will be confined into 1 week in October. So at least you can get it all over with, right? After that, though, the weather does seem to be improving here as we go through time. So that's some good news. All right, well, first thing let's do. By the way, thanks again for watching YouTube and Facebook. I don't do Twitter anymore right now. So if you normally watch me on Twitter, you'll have to check out either YouTube or Facebook. Oh, real quick, before I get into the maps on Facebook, let me post the link to where if you want to get notified when I go live and you're having trouble doing so. I'm doing this all week. It's a new thing I've released where I can actually send you a custom push notification through the Facebook messaging system, and that way you won't miss a single broadcast, even when I go cover severe weather. So I just posted that just now, so you can always click on that link anytime, and make sure you hit manage messages that are in there, and that will get you on board for the next broadcast. Don't forget that step. All right. Okay, that said, let's move on. First thing we've got here is, of course, the radar. Any storms brewing out there? Well, Oklahoma City, all's quiet, but if you look out here in Cordell, would you look at that? What do you see in old Bessie? See a little shower going up. So that is beginning of what is going to be a thunderstorm. And this thunderstorm will continue to develop and expand. And it's going to make a due east track right along probably the 240, I-40 corridor. So if you live along this path, do expect some storms here for later on this evening. And probably while you're asleep, depending on what time you go to bed tonight. All right, so let's get on with it. The severe weather risk is here in green over central Oklahoma. Very low tornado potential is good news. Quarter-size hail up to 60-mile-per-hour winds. Timing on this, well, as you can tell right now, it is just now underway out there in parts of western Oklahoma. Closer to the 11 o'clock to midnight hour here in the west sides of Oklahoma City and quickly moving through. Should take about an hour to move through the metro. And then moving on into eastern Oklahoma after that into the early dawn hour. So there is still a slight risk of severe weather into the Tulsa metropolitan region as well. All right, the Storm Prediction Center does have us, again, in a marginal risk category, but they took away the tornado risk and really the wind risk, and just left some hail. The hail is mainly for 1 inch in diameter, and they cite the sounding as one of the reasons, which is a little bit of a cap in the sounding, but there is a little fly in the ointment I'm going to get to here in a minute. But what it does show in this particular forecast sounding is the shear does turn with heights. We do have good directional shear. Speed shear is very weak at the lowest levels, but it does have a classic supercell structure to it. When you deal with supercells, you just got to make sure there's no other boundaries to ingest into the updraft, in which we do. We have a cold front that is kind of stalled, and that's going to be the wild card in tonight's performance from the storms. Cape values up around 1,000 joules, and not much of a cap at all. It's a little elevated sin there at the mixed layer, and that's pretty much nothing when you have a cold front that's going to help provide a little bit of lift to overcome that. So I'm saying the forecast or the atmospheric sounding in the environment looks pretty conducive for a little thunderstorm activity here. All right, so the cold front is weak right now, but it stretches about like so. All right, and you're going, well, where is so? Well, so cuts right through Oklahoma County, right along the I-44 corridor. This is a very important boundary. As this boundary kind of sags to the south a little bit and gets ingested into the storm, this acts as a what we call boundary vorticity, a roll. And that spins. You can't see it. It's invisible, but it spins in a horizontal rolling fashion. It gets picked up into the updraft of a supercell. That spinning motion then turns into this motion, which turns, could be, into a tornado. And a lot of times that does happen. And some of our stronger tornadoes actually happen with boundary interactions. So I'm saying it's the threat isn't zero. It is low, but it is not zero. Like I said, it's closer to the freak deal, but not out of the question. If we do look at the satellite viewpoint, we do see other clouds developing out here, along with that shower that we did see on radar. So once again, this will be the area of focus out here in western Oklahoma that is underway. Let's take a look at how the model data takes this cluster of storms. You can see it blowing up there east of Elk City, right about in the area we just showed you on radar. By 11 o'clock and midnight, you can see how it's quickly moving into central Oklahoma, including the metro Canadian County, El Reno, Yukon, back up toward, looks like Piedmont, Edmond, West Edmond, up toward Guthrie, and just west of Stillwater and Perry. So that'll kind of be the line developing here that really starts to get pretty meaty. The tail end of it that rolls right on the south end of the metros that we'll have to watch for. That's the boundary of the cold front. So it could ingest that boundary, may produce a tornado here over the central Oklahoma region. So keep that in mind tonight. Again, this is going to be between the hours roughly from 11 p.m. to about 1 a.m. when it rolls through Oklahoma City. It should quickly move out of there by about 1:30 on the east side, and you're still moving through Shawnee, pretty much right along I-40. The other storm is stretching up toward the Tulsa area, and with the front kind of doing one of these things at this point, you got to watch for other areas of the line that may ingest some of that vorticity. Otherwise, you're just looking at a cluster of storms. The main threat, some pockets of wind, maybe it's around 58 miles per hour, and hail size probably about 1 inch in diameter. If we can get a really good, strong supercell that doesn't collapse too much on its own, we should be able to get hail sizes maybe up to about golf ball size, which is typical for a supercell. Regardless, there's 4 o'clock in the morning, there's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 is kind of moving on out. Now, if we do look at the forecast sounding, so we looked at the current sounding, and that was taken up at 6 o'clock. So the one that shows up around the midnight hour here in Oklahoma City on the south side, the shear picks up just a little bit from the help from the winds of low-level jet. Nice easterly component to surface, low LCLs, still good classic profile, nice slinky structure, EF2 potential tornadic ability in this environment. So it's just on that marginal line. All it needs is a little push one direction to make it happen. All right, here's a look at the, let's see, we call it the tornado parameter, significant tornado parameter, and most of the juice, the ingredients in the colored areas is down across the southern half of the state. It barely works its way right up here into the Oklahoma County, then points south. So this is Oklahoma County right here, so it's barely in our region. Better ingredients down south, but there's really nothing to kick off storms in that area. We just have that cluster that's going to roll through. So it's a very small window. The ingredients are there, but they're pretty low. We were topping out of the scale earlier this week, so it's not like it's off the charts. But the supercell does lay out a track of a long-lived helicity track, a mesocyclone track, And anytime you have that, what happens out of a supercell? Well, sometimes damaging winds, large hail, and potentially a tornado. So the model does say it should be a long-lived supercell riding along that frontal boundary at least for a while on the I-40 corridor. So again, if you live along that boundary, just kind of keep your apps handy, your NOAA weather radio going, have your shoes by your bed in case you have to hit shelter real quick. Keep in mind, most injuries happen after a tornado hits once there's debris and you step on it with the nails. Rainfall amounts pretty decent out of this cluster of storms. Look at about a ½ inch to maybe 1 inch here, off and on, in the Oklahoma City area. And then that kind of picks up a little bit more, maybe 1.5 inches along I-40 as you head east out of town. Some better amounts around the Tulsa area, and Muskogee pockets up around 2 inches of rainfall as it heads toward the Fort Smith and on up north and northwestern Arkansas. Now, temperatures, man, my goodness. It is really going to cool down by tomorrow morning. I feel like today was a little cool. About 55 degrees when you get up in the 40s out here in the Panhandle. Now we will rebound, so Friday's looking like a really decent day, just a touch of cool fall air. 64 degrees here in Oklahoma City, 64 in Tulsa, out of northwest Oklahoma, about the same thing. Not a big change in temperatures across the state. And if you look at lows on Saturday morning, this is what gets your attention. We're going to be in the 40s statewide with some pockets of 30s up here in northwest Oklahoma. And yes, probably even at or below freezing the Panhandle. From Slap Out, Hooker, Beaver, to Dalhart, to Liberal, Kansas, is going to be a cold one up there in the Panhandle. How about them apples? All right, temperatures for the next several days. We will get out of the 60s on Saturday, on into Sunday, and then we kind of hold in the low 70s. Overnight lows will be in the 40s and 50s over the next week or so. So the Bermuda grass will stop growing, even though we just watered the heck out of it for some of you. Mine got a nice rebound. It went from dead, dormant, brown to lush and green and growing. So it's got to get mowed. But probably only for about another week or two, and then you can put the mowers away because it will no longer grow in that environment. Okay, that is the latest I have for you. This was a quick and dirty short forecast. How about that? I think we knocked it out in about 10 minutes. So what I plan on doing, just so you know, is I will be up and I'll be watching radar trends. And as that storm cluster approaches Oklahoma City metro area, and it starts to get close to interacting with that cold front, I'm going to be watching it very closely, and I'll probably even go live at that point, because what happens is once that boundary interaction starts to take shape, things can happen rather quickly, and I would rather be on top of it than waiting till a tornado happens and then going live. So it's a tough call. I'm going to kind of see what I can do, but what I will do, again, I'll send out because again, most of you are going to be asleep, and that's the issue. I'll send out a push notification through the Facebook Messenger like I normally do. I'm going to go live here for tonight for the Covering the Storms. Now, for whatever reason, if the storms peter out, which, again, I don't think they will, but if they did for some reason, then all bets are off. But I think they'll hold together. I think they'll form. I think that's something to watch. That's the reason why I'm going to stay up. So, again, I'll send you a Facebook notification. Of course, Facebook and YouTube will do their deal to let you know I'm going live. Now, if you have my weather app, I can send out a push notification that I'm live. Some of you are probably going to be asleep, though, and I don't want to wake you up unless it's really important. So what I may end up doing is holding off on sending out that notification. And you're like, you can send me a personal deal? I said, sure can. And I don't know who I'm sending it to, but I just see a little icon on the map, and I can click that and go, hey, send this person right here the message that there's a tornado coming. Well, if you get that message from me, you're going to get out of your bed real quick. So I will use that only in that case. So if you get that from me, a personal message, that's what that's about. And then it'd probably just be to tune in and watch, because we've got something potentially tornadic. Other than that, I'll just let the app do what it does automatically. Obviously, don't put your do not disturb on the app. Now, if you don't want to be alerted to, say, lightning in the area, or I don't know, whatever else you don't want to be notified on there, you can toggle those off in your alerts for each custom setting, each location. And that way, when it goes off, it's only going to go off what you want. Now, maybe you only want tornado warning and twisting storm alert, or danger storm approaching. It'll go off on those three things. Well, that's fine. Just uncheck everything else, leave those checked, and leave the D&D on the override. So that's one way you can do it. Some people did, and I thought this was actually pretty smart. So my app will give you about an extra 15 minutes heads up, typically, for developing tornado. What someone did, I wish I could remember who they were, but what they did is they actually set an alert location. Of course, not only their home, but they'll set it in the direction where the storms usually approach from. So they'll go down the road, like, 5 miles in a west westerly or southwesterly direction a little bit, and they'll put a location there. And what happens is they'll get a notice that there's a dangerous storm approaching that spot or a twisting storm alert, and they'll go, aha, I just gave myself even more time than I would have already gotten. So it's one way you can kind of use the app in a different way than it was originally designed. And if you just really want a long lead time of storms are going, you could always just put down random places that you would find of interest. But most people just put in their home, school, work, other kids, locations. That way everybody's covered and they know what's coming, extended family, grandparents, all that kind of stuff. You can put a limited number of locations in there. When I say unlimited, I think it goes to 16. That's a lot. So it's called AT's Weather to Go, Apple and Google Play. You can check that out here tonight. And then hopefully you won't need it after this for a while. The severe weather part will calm down. Fingers crossed. All right, let me just take a couple of questions, and I'm going to turn you loose. And then I hope to not to see you later on tonight, but I might. I don't want to, but don't take offense to it. Let's see here real quick, just scrolling through, because that way, in case I forgot to pull up something that was important, you guys might say, hey, I want to know about this. Okay, just checked in on YouTube, and I'll go to Facebook here real quick. By the way, again, thanks for all the stars tonight on Facebook and on YouTube for you guys when you do Super Chat. Timeline of the Metro, again, is about 11 o'clock on the west side to about 1 o'clock on the east side. It'll be the rough 2-hour window for the greater metro area. Again, the main threat will be, of course, some heavy rainfall, some hail. Should be most of it probably about an inch in diameter or less. That's just on the category of severe. So it probably should be just about at least an inch in diameter. And I think in the biggest part of the mesocyclone of the storm, you're probably going to get golf ball size hail. And that's more than likely going to be on the south side of the town, south side of Canadian County and south side of Oklahoma County. So that includes Yukon there. Candy, I see your post. Please give heavy sleepers advice, Mo. So here's the other deal, by the way. On my broadcast link right here, you can click the details of the broadcast. In other words, you can tap the broadcast on your phone or on your computer and see a description of what is this broadcast about. Well, when you do that, you scroll on the bottom, there'll be a direct link to Amazon store where I link the best NOAA weather radio that you can get that's programmable, and it will wake the fire out of you. So get one of those. You need to have multiple ways to get your notice. Apps are great. NOAA weather radios are great. Your TV, the sirens, of course. You need to use them all to your advantage. Each one has a weakness, so exploit them all. That way you're covered in case of an emergency situation. And Toby, thanks. I like it. It's a community family type intro. So yeah, it's pretty good. I get a lot of positive feedback from that. But anyway, so that's about it. And as always, tonight, protect yourself, your family, your kids, your pets in the lowest level of your home, in the middle part, so away from all outside walls and windows, and grab anything that's going to keep you safe from flying debris. Twigs, leaves, broken glass, that kind of deal. So, for kids, I recommend the sporting gear, pads, helmets, that kind of stuff, and bicycle helmets, whatever you got. And then, you can use a mattress, you can just use blankets, whatever you want, bathtub, all good stuff. And that'll all keep you as safe as you can be from a tornado. And those tornadoes usually last, probably about, you'll hear the wind crank up, it'll hit, and then it'll leave. So it's probably about a 30-second deal in most cases, because they usually move pretty quick when it hits and then when it leaves. So it's over in a flash. But there's usually sometimes some damage with them. Not all the time, but sometimes. And it can be significant or it can be minor. Just depends on what strength the tornado is. And we can get an idea of strength of a tornado when we track them live, as long as they're close to the radar. We do have some fudging numbers that we can use to get a good estimate of the speed. By the way, Brandon Riley on YouTube, I see you. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. So I think that's going to be it again from me. You guys have a good night. Try to sleep well, and just expect some rough storms here in a couple hours, but I'll be watching them for you, and I'll be live at the time. All right, talk to you guys soon. Take care.